Hi, Charles of SirBookSage here, and this is a bit of an unorthodox book haul. A friend of mine stopped by yesterday, and she dropped off a big plastic carton full of books that I think she might have been given by people a while back that she doesn't have any interest in keeping anymore, and she knows I'm doing my BookTube channel, so she brought them over to me for me to have them. There are 27 books in this crate, and amazingly, I've only ever read one of them. And that one that I've read is the only one also out of all of these that I own already. So that's pretty good that I've been given 27 books and 26 of them I've never read and don't own. So I'm going to work my way through this list, and it's a kind of a wide variety of books here. Some of them well outside my normal reading genres. So let's get started. The first one I found here is The Choice by Nicholas Sparks. Now, I know he's super popular. I think a lot of his books probably get made into movies, if I recall correctly. No idea. Never read any of his books at all. This one apparently is set in North Carolina, or somebody named Travis trying to ingratiate himself with his new neighbor. So, we'll see. Next up on the list, and this is one of the books that I think I've seen people talk about on BookTube recently, particularly back in October. And this is one actually I've been interested in reading, so I'm happy this was in here. And this is In a Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. So, this looked and sounded intriguing. I guess it's kind of a thriller. I'm guessing it's a thriller. So I'm excited for that. And there's another Ruth Ware book in here called The Woman in Cabin 10. I think I saw people mentioning this as well. So these two I'm actually pretty excited for. These are books that I've kind of wanted to read. So I'm pretty happy about those. The next one is this book by Mo Hader called Gone. Again, don't know anything about it. But I think this is another sort of thriller by the looks of it. I'm assuming maybe a kidnapping or something. I don't know. It's interesting trying to figure out what books are about just based on the title and the cover. And this, James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge, The Quickie. Okay, I didn't know James Patterson kind of wrote books like this. Again, don't know what it's about. Let's see. James Patterson presents his most daring and astonishing novel ever. Perfect marriage and a great job. Lauren Stillman loves her wonderful life until she sees her husband with another woman. Devastated and lusting for revenge, Lauren has her own affair. It's supposed to be a quickie, I guess hence the title. But Lauren's night of passion takes a shocking turn when she witnesses an unbelievable and deadly crime. So, another suspense thriller that looks kind of like a tawdry, erotic fiction novel or something. And there's another James Patterson here, Humans Bowed Down, with James Patterson and Emily Raymond. No idea. Again, I don't think I've ever read any Patterson. This sounds interesting. The Great War is over. The robots have won. The humans who survived have two choices. They can submit and serve the vicious rulers they created, or be banished to the reserve, a desolate, unforgiving landscape where it's a crime just to be human. Actually, by the sound of this sounds like a dystopian science fiction book. So that's a score. Sidney Sheldon Reckless. I've never read anything by Sidney Sheldon. I know always bestseller, as far as I know, but a Tracy Whitney novel. And let's see, Enduring Heroine. So this sounds sort of like an action thriller. Apparently, Tracy Whitman is a character he's got a running series about. So, again, I've never read anything by Sidney Sheldon, but there seems to be terrorists and hostages and CIA, and so sounds like a fun read. This is a really cool looking cover. This is something I would have picked up on the bookshelf in the bookstore and at least checked out, just because of the cover alone. And that's, I guess, these two authors, Preston and Child. Never heard of them, but again, apparently another New York Times bestseller called The Blue Labyrinth. Don't know anything about it either. A long-buried family secret has come back to haunt Special Agent Aloysius Pendergast. Begins with a murder. So I guess a kind of a thriller, murder mystery thriller. So not bad. So one science fiction book so far in the group. And this particular books that I found here in the crate, I was really super excited for. And these are Michael Crichton books. Congo. Again, I've never read any Michael Crichton, but these are, I know he does some kind of like sci-fi stuff. And a lot of his have been made into movies, like this one. I saw the movie, enjoyed the movie, so this looks like it's going to be a good read. Next up is Sphere, which I also enjoyed the movie, so this sounds like something I would really enjoy reading. Next up is Michael Crichton and Richard Preston, Micro. Haven't heard of this one, don't know much about it. In the lush rainforest of Oahu, groundbreaking technology has ushered in a revolutionary era of biological prospecting. We have 7 brilliant graduate students recruited by a pioneer startup, prey to a technology, armed with only their knowledge. They must survive. They must harness the inherent forces of nature itself to survive. So it sounds like a caught out in the middle of nowhere trying to use your skills as a scientist to not die. So it sounds exciting. And then next up is the ironically titled book Next, which apparently has a red monkey on the front and a green monkey on the back. I haven't heard of this one either. Welcome to our genetic world, fast and furious and out of control. This is not the world, it's the world right now. Is a loved one missing some body parts? Are blondes becoming extinct? Is everyone at your dinner table of the same species? Blends fact and fiction into a breathless tale of a new world where nothing is what it seems. Okay, not really sure what it's about, but sounds interesting. I guess gene splicing and all that kind of stuff. And now for these, no idea. This is apparently book 2 of the Sweet Ever After series, All That Matters by Elaine E. Sherwood. Again, absolutely, utterly clueless. This is nothing I would ever pick up and read on my own. For a few seconds, no one moved, stunned by what was happening. Released as one from their paralysis, they rushed to rescue Victor before Vladimir beat him to death. So, not really sure what this is about. Somebody kicks the crap out of somebody else. I don't know anything about the Sweet Ever After series. I don't know if these are mysteries or what they are. So, we'll see. Now, the challenge will be to find probably readathons that I could fit the books in this pile that I wouldn't normally read, like this one. I'll find a readathon that I can fit this into, and I'll give it a read, because if someone gives me books to read, I'm going to give them a try. I'm going to give them a shot. I'm not going to say, well, I don't read that kind of book. I'll give it a shot. We'll see. Maybe I'll end up liking it. Maybe I'll end up with the Sweet Ever After series on my bookshelves. Highly doubt it, but you never know. Next up is Saving Faith by David Baldacci. Never read anything by him either. Don't have no idea what this is about. I'm guessing it's political intrigue. There's the Capitol building. A lightning-paced thriller. Okay. In a secluded house not far from D.C., the FBI is interviewing one of the most important witnesses. She's done too much, knows too much, and she'll tell too much. She's been targeted to die. So apparently a woman fleeing very powerful, corrupt government forces and an investigator trying to keep her alive to get her story told. That's kind of what I surmise from that little blurb. So, political thrillers I guess, are fun. I've read some Tom Clancy. I guess they might fit into that kind of mold. And the body count is about to get real. Death List by Donald Goins. Apparently it's a book in the Kenyatta series. The unquestioned originator of urban lit, Donald Goins, ups the reality factor with one of his most enduring characters. Kenyatta has it good. He's got the ladies, the clubs, and the guns. The only problem is the shady dealers who are running the drugs in Detroit. It's time to get them out, even if it means upping the ante and making a deal with the men in blue. Once the plan is in place, nobody's safe, everyone's a target, and the streets are about to flood with blood. Huh. Sounds like something that I'm surprised Hollywood has not turned into a movie at this point. Because it kind of sounds like right up their alley. So I'm expecting kind of a bloody, brutal, sort of Pulp Fiction kind of, not the movie Quentin Tarantino Pulp Fiction, but the genre of Pulp Fictions. But I have no idea. I've never read any of Kenyatta books, so. But I'll give it a shot. It's nice and short, so this is probably an afternoon of reading. Again, something somebody's going to come up with a readathon that requires the word death in a title, and this will fit that mold quite well. Next up are books I'm excited about. Life Expectancy by Dean Koontz. I like Koontz. I've read a few of his books, so I haven't read this one. I enjoy his writing, so I'm looking forward to that. And also Dean Koontz' TikTok. Don't know anything about both of these books, but I like Dean Koontz, so we'll see. And then next up are some Stephen King. Thinner, which I've never read, so happy. I think I've owned this at one point. I might still be upstairs in a box or a suitcase or something with books. Not sure. And this is the only book in this whole pile that I actually do own a copy of and have read. And this is a rather dilapidated Signet paperback version of The Stand. It's in pretty beat up shape and some of the pages are falling out, but it was in the pile. A pretty cool cover. I have a different one back down here on my shelf. Next up is Stephen King's Dance Macabre. Never read it. Pretty cool. So I'm a big Stephen King fan, so nothing wrong with having more Stephen King books to read. Different Seasons by Stephen King. Now, is this a short story collection? Oh, cool. The Hope Springs Eternal, which is what Shawshank Redemption is based on. See, that alone makes it worth it to me. And of course, and 3 other stories. So, Apt Pupil is another one that I think they also made into a movie. So, that I'm excited about. And this is super cool. Books 4 and 5 of the Dark Tower series, and I've still somehow, some way, for some reason, never read the Dark Tower series, and I don't know why. But now that I own 2 of the books, I still can't read it because I need books 1, 2, and 3 before I can even start this. So when book gifts basically end up forcing you to go out and buy more books, that's the case. All right, now the last few books here. Small Sacrifices by Anne Rule. Again, no idea, never heard of it. A harrowing pathological portrait, a work of resonance and revelation with breath-stopping tension to the end. Sounds like sort of kind of another thriller. So whoever gave these books to Darlene, my friend Darlene, and then gave them to me, seems to have liked thrillers and that kind of stuff. And now a Lisa Gardner book, The Neighbor, which, has this been made into a movie? I'm not really sure. It kind of sounds like it probably was, but I have no idea. Winner of the 2010 ITW Thriller Award for Best Novel. All right. So I guess it's a thriller. A young woman, blonde and pretty, vanishes from her South Boston home, leaving behind only one witness, her 4-year-old daughter, and one suspect, her handsome, secretive husband. Dun dun dun! Another Lisa Gardner book, apparently. Find Her, another New York Times bestseller. Floridane is a victim. Floridane is a survivor. Floridane is reckless. Again, set in Boston. So I guess Lisa Gardner likes to write books set in Boston. And this is about someone named Flora, apparently, who was kidnapped and held captive for a long time and managed to escape or get out. So, okay. And the last book in this pile, Nick Petry's The Drifter, which is a Peter Ash novel. I'm assuming this is one in a series of people about Peter Ash. Peter Ash came home from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan with only one souvenir, what he calls his white static, a crackling claustrophobia from post-traumatic stress that has driven him into the mountains to sleep under the stars. But when a friend from the Marines commits suicide, Peter returns to civilization to help the man's widow with some home repairs. Under her dilapidated porch, he finds more than he bargained for, the largest, ugliest, meanest dog he's ever encountered, and a Samsonite suitcase stuffed with cash and explosives. As Peter begins to investigate this unexpected discovery, he finds himself at the center of a plot that is far larger than he could have imagined, and it may lead straight back to the world he thought he'd left for good. A relentless page-turner with nail-biting tension and complex characters that leap off the page, The Drifter marks the arrival of a stunning new voice in crime fiction. So apparently, if there's a series about this Peter Ash character, this sounds like it's the very first one. So I guess if I'm going to read a book about a long-running series kind of person, or I'm not, I guess it's lucky for me that it starts off at the beginning. An action hero in the likes of Jack Reacher. And let me just see when this was published. Oh, 2006 and 2017. All right, so this is the start of a new series, I guess. So were I to love this and then go to the bookstore to look for more Peter Ash novels, I might not find any yet because I don't know if there is any more yet. And that's it. 27 books. Some I'm really excited for. The Michael Crichton books, the Stephen King books, the Dean Koontz books, the Ruth Ware books, and all of the others are a crapshoot. I'm going to give them all a try at some point. There's a very good chance you may see me doing a book review of one or more of these books sometime in the next 5 years. Because this is quite a lot of books. When I'm going to get to any of them, I have no idea. I have a feeling I might not get to some of these, like the Anne Rule books and some of the Stephen King books, and these might be some of my books, my reads for next October. So we'll see. We'll have to see how things go. And I will be keeping these in mind for any kind of readathons that come up in the future, where I might not have something from my regular fantasy sci-fi shelves that will suffice. And I am still looking for a book with the word holiday in the title for the Holiday Adventure-a-thon, readathon that's about to start in 4 days. And 27 books, and not a one of them with holiday in the title. So my search continues. And so that's a book crate, sort of book haulish. Here you go. Here's a box of books, Charles, because you're doing BookTube and you like books. Video. If you've read any of these, if you've heard of any of these, well, obviously the Michael Crichton and Stephen King, but if you've read any of these books, I'm curious to hear your thoughts down below, if you liked them or didn't like them. If there are any of these here that you say are must-reads, don't put them off for a year. You read them as soon as you can. Let me know down below in the comments. So, out of all of these books, it's because the Dark Tower books aren't the first two Dark Towers. It's books 4 and 5. So those set aside. But I'd have to say, out of everything in this whole humongous pile, I'm probably most intrigued and excited about those Ruth Ware books for some reason. I don't normally read just your basic thrillers. But I noticed people talking about them and they sound intriguing. So there's a good chance those are the first ones that are going to get read out of this whole pile. But again, hit me up below if you've read any of these. Or if out of all these books I've mentioned, which one you know, okay, read this one first. And I'm going to wrap it up here. I am Charles of SirBookSage. Happy reading.